welcome back to The Hedge with Double D.
The Hedge with Double D.
All right, welcome back. Thank y'all for joining us. Again, I've got EJ with me here, today. EJ, thank you for joining me. How you doing?
Man, yes, sir, man. Good, man. How about yourself? Thank you for having me. It's always a pleasure.
Of course, I'm doing good. Thank you. EJ's back for his second time here on the show. He did the NFC South with us as a Falcons fan, and as you can see here by his some of his outfit there, he's a Florida State fan, so he's going to join us for the ACC talk today. So
go ahead, Noles on top, baby. We're back.
So he's already claiming the Noles are back. They're on top. We'll see how we go. We'll look at some of the numbers. We'll see who's the favorite and everything. We'll look at over-unders and see how many for the season win total and make a couple picks there. Let's get to it. Let's do the ACC. I'm excited. Football, whatever. We had week 0. It was exciting. Not really, a lot of blowouts. But it's back this weekend, and man, I'm excited. So, and like we were saying before we started, ACC's got some big games this weekend.
Huge games,
Yeah.
Man. Course, and of course with the big game on Sunday night against LSU, open the season back to back. So hopefully we can go 2-0 against them.
Oh man, that would be a sweep not a lot of people saw coming, honestly. Especially last year. So
wow. Okay, I got some people that did some dirty stuff.
Oh. So EJ's also doing his fantasy draft, so we're gonna get live reactions from EJ, one of EJ's fantasy drafts, as he goes tonight.
Bro, they screwed me. The person right in front of me drafted Bijan Robinson just to spite me.
No,
because they saw I had the team name, so that's all it is. That's all it is.
Well, maybe that's a good strategy then. So EJ changed his name. I'm not going to give away your name, so no one can steal it. But he changed his name. It was a Bijan Robinson play on words, and someone just drafted Bijan before. EJ.
So do I take Eckler? Do I take Kelsey? Do I take Cup? Do I take Hill?
There. Oh man, if Eckler's there, still at number 5, I think you got to take Eckler.
Yeah, I got to take Eckler.
Nice. Oh, that's funny. So good strategy. Something to think about, y'all. If there's somebody that you're think someone else might take, but you don't actually want them, but you want someone to reach, maybe change your team name to that person.
I knew I should have waited.
Okay, that's funny. Okay, so ACC, the biggest thing, the new thing, I guess, with the ACC, they're not doing their divisions anymore this year, from what I read, which I thought was really cool. No more divisions. It's just the top 2 play for the conference championship, which makes sense. I've talked about this a bunch with the Big Ten. The Big Ten divisions are so crazy skewed, where Wisconsin has gone to the Big Ten championship a bunch in the last 12 years because they only have to be like Iowa and Minnesota. And then it's Ohio State and Penn State and Michigan State all battling on the other side. So the ACC has done away with the divisions. EJ, you can kind of tell me more about this, but on the divisions, wasn't it like Clemson and Florida State were on the same side, and then the other side was like Pittsburgh and Miami, or basically it's the same idea as the Big Ten.
Yeah, it was. Clemson and Florida State were always in separate divisions. So, always in the same. So we can never play for the ACC championship, and so. It's awesome now with this, removal of divisions and just one big open. We could we're probably gonna play Clemson twice. I mean, unless something crazy happens. I don't want to dismiss UNC and Drake May. I know they got some firepower on that offense there in Chapel Hill, but it's a lot of people are already saying that Clemson and Florida State, the game on week 3, week 4, whatever it is coming up, they're saying that's the ACC championship game. It's going to happen twice, so it's going to be interesting to see. But I'm thankful because now, being in the same division doesn't stop us from being able to compete in if we drop one game here or there in the middle of the season, it doesn't mean we're automatically out. So it's cool, man. It's going to be awesome seeing that. And so be interesting to see if, many of the preseason predictions of Florida State and Clemson playing twice, once in regular season and once for that ACC championship. It's gonna be interesting to see.
No, yeah, I agree. You're right, it will be. And honestly, I hope a lot of other conferences do the same thing, because you want the best two teams to play, even if you have to play twice in the season, that's fine. But I think you're right. I mean, we're kind of jumping ahead to who we think is going to win the championship, but I think everyone is going to be picking either Clemson or Florida State. I agree with you. They're going to play each other at the end of the year. They're both going to have, either one's going to be undefeated or one's going to have one loss and the other has one loss or two losses. And we can go ahead and jump on this. This is something I'm thinking about betting wise. So you have to win the conference. Clemson to win the conference is at plus 150. Florida State is plus 170. So Florida State's, I've obviously got higher odds, but to me, whichever one of them wins the conference is going to go to they're going to make the playoffs. I think it's a safe bet that they're going to make the playoffs. And if you bet on them to make the playoffs, it jumps up to Clemson plus 300 and Florida State plus 320. So,
wow.
I know that's a big difference there. And I know they're not guaranteed to make it if they're a 2-loss team. But I see the winner coming out with just one loss, and being one of them and making the playoffs at either plus 300 or plus 320. So whoever you pick to win the conference, I think it's a smart play to just pick to make the playoffs.
I could see that. I could definitely see that happening.
Yeah,
because yeah, and I could even see one of those people, going on to be playing national championship, depending on who they draw and who other people see that, because ACC is not the weak conference that people claim it as. I know they always have the SEC dominance, but ACC, man, has produced a ton of NFL players, and at one point a couple of years ago it was the conference that had produced the most NFL players. So the fact that people sleep on it as all the SEC elitists, I hate it, man, because ACC is a fun conference to watch.
Yeah, no, you won't find me. I would not argue with that with you there, because I'm a Big Ten fan of the same thing. A lot of SEC fans, I mean, we don't have them here to defend themselves, but they've said it a lot throughout my podcast. Dylan's big one on it. The SEC is the best, and I agree. The SEC is the best. They get the best players every year, recruiting wise, so of course they're the best. But I think the top of the ACC and the top of the Big Ten, basically Clemson, Florida State, Michigan, Ohio State, I think that's basically as good as the top of the SEC. Maybe Georgia is just more dominant than everybody in the whole league right now. But if you look at like Alabama, Tennessee, I think those would all be good games against Clemson, Florida State, Ohio State, Michigan. So it's really the middle of the SEC that kind of makes it better than everybody else.
Oh yeah, and we'll see what they get. We'll see what they get.
Yep. And I mean, honestly, it'll be a good test. UNC, South Carolina, week 1 is kind of upper tier, mid tier of both of those conferences. So
it'll be fun. That's great. Like I said, that you're right. That's going to be a fun game to watch this Saturday. I'm just saying, who gets us bragging rights out the gate. With a South Carolina team that's people are excited about, but there's question marks surrounding the running game, and then North Carolina, which people are excited about, high-powered offense, Heisman hopeful, and Drake May. So it's gonna be interesting to see up in Charlotte on Saturday.
Yep. Let's go ahead and jump into that with North Carolina. Let's go ahead and pick their over-under. North Carolina is 8.5 games over-under for wins for the total wins for the season. Sorry. And that does not include like a bowl or if they go to the conference championship. So just regular season wins, 8.5. If you want to pull up their schedule, you can. I'll talk a little bit about it. Last year, have I been saying? I don't know. I've been saying UNC if I haven't been saying that.
Yeah, you said UNC.
Okay. So they had a couple bad losses where they had they lost to a bad Georgia Tech team. They lose to a good NC State team. They get blown out by Clemson in the conference championship. And they lose in the bowl game. Sometimes the bowl games, I don't know, they really usually don't mean that much to me because they've kind of been, players don't play, it doesn't really matter, but whatever. They lost in the bowl game to Oregon. And then they lost to Notre Dame early on. And they had a where was it? Yeah, so I mean they really have, and they don't really have any very impressive wins from last year. I don't think they have really any impressive wins. And then this year, pulling up UNC,
They really don't.
It's like, so they have this big they have the big South Carolina game, and then they'll play Clemson. And those are their two tough games. I mean, they play Minnesota, which is kind of another fun, kind of another mid-tier versus mid-tier in conference interplay games. But it's an interesting team because, like you say, it's all about Drake May winning the Heisman. Is their defense going to be better? Their defense was terrible last year. Are they going to keep winning against bad teams and losing against the good teams? That's kind of what I see out of them. When you have a quarterback who's really good, that's going to score a lot of points, I think you're going to beat the bad teams, but then you're going to struggle against the better teams that get a couple stops on you, and your defense can't get any of those stops. So if I'm going through this, I see their tough games with South Carolina, Minnesota. I think they lose at least one of those, maybe both of those. I see them maybe losing at Pittsburgh, and then definitely losing to Clemson. So that gives you 1, 2, 3, 4, 8, 9. 9 wins right there if they beat NC State at the end. Oh, this is tough.
And do you have them beating South Carolina this weekend?
That's what I said. I think they're going to lose to South Carolina or Minnesota, maybe both. I think they'll beat Minnesota. I don't know. I mean, I don't know. I could see them really struggling against a good defense like Minnesota, and then against, honestly, and
hey, they're playing. I mean, and think about it, they play the Giant Killers second week.
Yeah, with App State, they could. I mean, honestly, yeah, they could lose to App State. That's super surprising. So I could see them dropping a gimme. I see them winning. Oh man, this is tough. With 8.5, I think I'm still gonna go. I think I'm gonna go under. I think this conference is gonna basically cannibalize itself, except for Clemson and Florida State. I think Clemson and Florida State are gonna kind of run away with it, and they're gonna have one loss, either both loss, or one be undefeated in the conference, and the other have only one loss in the conference.
You need to go to bed, baby. She went to go get something to eat.
I think having a little daughter time.
She's gone.
I think UNC though is going
back, go get in bed.
Lose a couple games they shouldn't lose to Clemson, lose to maybe South Carolina and Minnesota, and then lose to Pittsburgh. So I see them winning only like 8 games, maybe 7 games. I'm going under for UNC.
Sorry about that. You cut that out if you need to.
You're good. Yes. Wait, do say it again.
I said sorry about that. You can cut that out if you need to. My daughter
It's all good. We kind of powered through. But I will. Oh, that's okay. We can kind of cut it out. We could say basically what I'm saying, UNC, I think they're going to lose. I think they're going to lose the games they're supposed to lose. The Clemson game, the South Carolina, maybe both that and Minnesota, and then at Pittsburgh, and then maybe drop, like you said, an App State or a game they shouldn't lose. So I think they're only going to win 7 or 8 games. I think Drake May is still going to put up a bunch of numbers and be a high draft pick and all that stuff, but I don't think it's going to translate into another 9-win season. I think they only have 8 tops. So I'm going under for UNC.
Yeah, and I probably have to agree with that. Looking at their schedule, I don't think they're going to beat South Carolina. App State being who they are could go either way. Minnesota, like I said, that you never know what you're going to get in Minnesota, but it's never going to be an easy game. Pitt, Syracuse, Miami, Virginia. So yeah, I'm going under, man. I don't know if they're going to be able to win. 8, but if 8 is their max, I agree. 8 is their max.
Yep. Okay. Well, then we're both in agreement there. I'll put that down. EJ for under. There's only 2 of us, but if we're both in agreement, that calls for a little sounder.
Under the hedge.
All right, there we go. Under the hedge. All right, so we're both saying under there. UNC is going to be the team with the highest odds that we look at tonight with the ACC. They're plus 1,100 to win the conference, but I don't think that happens any chance, especially if we're both saying under. Obviously, no chance they're even going. But let's move to Florida State. I'll let you kind of take over with Florida State. They're your team. Jordan Travis, I don't know. They've got a lot of talent around him. He could really blow up. They're being picked by a lot of people to win the conference, go to the playoffs. Again, plus 170 is what they're at on FanDuel right now to win the conference, and plus 320 to make the playoffs. So, let's see. What are your thoughts on Florida State, EJ? Talk me through it.
Florida State, man, goodness. Florida State, I do think, and I'm excited. I'm excited this year for them. Man, it's exciting. I think we're gonna. This could be a special year. I don't like automatically saying, "Oh, we're gonna win national championship," even though super fans we always say that. But with the team that we have, the offensive starters that we have returning, verse and also verse in the D line, and our linebacker core, the transfers, Keon Coleman, we got Bell from South Carolina. We got other top tight end transfer, Morlock from Shorter. So it gives us some great double tight end sets. And Bell, of course, gives us some great options. Got most of our running backs returning. Wilson at receiver. Like I said, now we got Coleman. Then Destin is finally on campus. So that's exciting. With Destin finally getting through all his all that NCAA stuff and be able to play. So man, it's looking scary in Tallahassee. So it's going to depend on what we do and how we play Sunday. Sunday's going to tell a lot. Sundays are be like, okay, we live up to the expectations of thank you. We live up to the expectations of the off season and the off season hype, or we still got some work to do and we don't look as good as what people think we should. So it's going to be interesting, but I'm definitely going. I think we're going to win the ACC. There's with the roster that we have, everybody stays healthy. If Jordan Travis stays healthy and plays like he should, another Heisman hopeful, we got a shot. We should win the ACC, and we could even be playing for a national championship. I don't know how mature we are to say if we're going to, if we're mature enough to win national championship. We'll see. But all the pieces are there, and it's exciting in Tallahassee again. It's very exciting. I just think, also with our, with our schedule, and I'll pull that up, and we got a really good chance to be successful because, obviously closing out the season with a bowl win, is always great. But then, we got, let's see, well, it's showing me last year's schedule. I don't know why it's showing me that. Oh, wait, what? I don't know why.
While you're looking, I'll tell you they've got a chance to beat 2 SEC teams, which would be a big, obviously, boost to their schedule. And they go at Clemson and at Pittsburgh. So, like you were saying, they don't have a super hard schedule besides that LSU game. So it's like they've got a good chance to get some good wins, and they've got enough hard games to make it look really good to where I would imagine they'd make the playoffs if they win the conference.
Yeah, because like you said, being in Orlando, that's pretty much a home game, for us, with the LSU. So I'm thinking we get that one. I don't think LSU is as good as what they're ranked. I don't think Daniels, I love Jay Daniels, a great quarterback, but I don't think he's as good throwing the ball as he needs to be able to beat us. So I do think we take that game, and I think we take obviously Southern Miss and Boston College. Clemson at Clemson is going to be, of course, huge game. We talked about that. Virginia Tech at home, we're good. Syracuse at home, we're good. Duke at home, we're good. Wake Forest on the road could get ugly, but Who knows? Who knows? We'll definitely have to see. So, but then like I said, we got that stretch, but then we got Miami at home. So that's huge. Getting Miami at home, and then of course, probably our biggest game would be ending the season in the Swamp, depending on how Florida looks.
Mm-hmm.
Ending that season in the Swamp.
Yeah.
And that'll be, of course, a road test as any game in the Swamp is.
Yeah.
So, but I think I'm going over, man. I think we're gonna win. I think we're good. So I'm definitely not going under on my Seminoles.
All right. Yeah, and they're 9.5, so they're 9.5. So you're going over with at least 10 wins. Now, EJ, are you thinking if you're going to take them to win the conference, are you going to go ahead and take the plus 320 action and just take them to make the playoffs?
Yes.
I think that's the safe play too. Yeah.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, like you said, I think if they win this conference, it means they've beaten maybe Clemson twice, maybe LSU. They're going to have to win at least 2 of those 3 games. So that's, good enough on your resume to make the playoffs if you've only lost 1 other game. I agree. I had written down at Wake at first as a tough game because I feel like that could be weird. I know I had forgotten that Wake lost their quarterback, Sam Hartman, in Notre Dame for a second, but still, so they're probably going to get blown out, but who knows? I think they stomp Miami. I think I know it's a rivalry game, but they've really just been killing them lately. And yeah, I think LSU is the big game because they can lose to Clemson and still play them in the conference championship. And if they win that, that'll put them ahead of them. But especially if they beat LSU, if they lose to Clemson and beat LSU and then go and beat Florida, who doesn't seem like they're going to be that good this year, I think that puts them in the playoffs also if they win the conference championship.
Yeah, you're right. I think so too. I just think this is the rosters now, the players, the playmakers. It's too much firepower.
Yeah. So if they win all the games they're supposed to win, and then they beat, Pittsburgh, Miami, and then Florida and either LSU or Clemson, that's like 10 or 11 wins right there. So I think they're definitely going to go over. I think that's kind of an easy bet, that minus 144 to go over 9.5 wins. I think that's a pretty easy bet right there, honestly.
Yeah, easy money, baby. Easy money.
I think they'll win 11 games this year. So yeah, and I think like we said, making them to make the playoffs is a good bet. They've got a lot of All-American preseason ACC or all ACC preseason players on offense, especially. But then if you look at the defense, Clemson has like a bunch of all ACC preseason on defense. So I think Clemson and Florida State are both going to go over. They're going to play each other. But I've already put $10 down on Clemson to make the playoffs. I think they're going to bounce back. They're going to have maybe 1 loss going into the conference final against Florida State, and I think they're going to beat Florida State. And then I think they'll have a good enough schedule that they will make the playoffs again. So that's the bet I'm going with. They're plus 1,600 to win it all. I don't think I'm going to take that. I don't think they'll win it all. I've got a plus 800, I think, or 800, 900 that I did for Clemson and Alabama to both make the playoffs. I put a little something on that just for fun too.
Okay.
I feel like that's pretty good odds for both of them to make it, because I do think Clemson will. But I think it's basically going to be Clemson or Florida State. I think one of them makes it. Clemson's got the new quarterback, or not new, but they're kind of they moved away from DJ Ungawale. I can't remember exactly his last name.
Right, I know you don't. Okay.
Yeah, and then Cade Klubnik or something for the new guy this year, or the guy that last year.
Cade Klubnik. Yeah, he's the sophomore.
Yeah. I think basically they'll be good enough for the defense. The defense is going to be really good this year, and the offense is going to be good enough to keep them in the game, or keep them in games or winning games. Their tough game is going to be Florida State and Notre Dame, and then they play South Carolina also, just like North Carolina. Kind of funny. But I think they'll get their revenge on South Carolina after the close loss last year and destroy them. Notre Dame, I don't know. That could be the one game that's tough, but that won't affect their ACC standings. And then Florida State, whether they win or lose, they'll play them again at the end of the year, and that's really what will matter. But I think they'll beat them in the regular season because it's at Clemson. So, again, I think it's easy. I think that's another easy over for Clemson to win at least 10 or 11 games. They're at 9.5. Minus 188 is their over. I think it's an easy over, and they are my pick for the champions. DJ, Clemson. I know you're picking Florida State as the champion, but you got them going over or under 9.5 games. And any other thoughts on Clemson?
I think they win 9 games, and that's it.
Oh, okay.
I think this Clemson team, I'm very surprised that people are still as high on Clemson as they are, to be honest. I just do not feel like they have enough returning to be able to make a serious run. I know they have Shipley. Shipley's great, and they got Maffa, who is a really good compliment, who's probably the better back that should be playing more than Shipley. I know it's Shipley's land right now. But I seriously think, it's going to be interesting. It's going to be interesting. I think they win 9 games, but I don't think Cade is an all-world guy. I don't think he was that impressive to me in the time he did play. He's good, don't get me wrong, but he's no Watson, he's no Trevor Lawrence. I don't know if they have the playmakers at receiver that they've had in those Watson and Trevor Lawrence eras. That, like I said, they're running it, and they got some good. They got some people on that defense that are good, but that secondary is still questionable in my opinion. Secondary is very questionable in my opinion. And up front, obviously that D line and that front, the linebackers, that front 7. I mean, the pre-ACC list is riddled with them. So I know they're good up front, but our weapons, our DBs, our tight ends versus their secondary, I just think we win that matchup all day. And I don't know, and not just us, but there's other people in the ACC that have high power off. I mean, UNC, and they sling the ball with Drake May. I don't know if Clemson's defense can stop that offense. Miami, depending on what they do this year, they're supposed to be better apparently, and they got a high. They've had some nice classes the last 2, so we'll see.
Okay. So are you officially going under with them with 9 wins?
Yeah.
Okay. Under. All right, going under. I got one more question. Do you think with Florida State, if you see them winning it all, do you think they're going to sweep Clemson, or do you think they drop the regular season game and win the conference final?
Ooh. If we win in Clemson, I think we win both.
Okay.
If we lose in Clemson, I don't like what losing in Clemson does for our season, because I feel like we take another week to get. Or a good thing we have that bye week, But I just worry about losing to Clemson, going into a bye week, and then playing Virginia Tech. That would be interesting. So then, I don't know. I don't know if we'd split. I feel like it's all or nothing for us. We either win both or we will lose both.
Okay. Interesting. And if that happens, if one of them sweeps the other, then I think they definitely make it in the playoffs, because that's 2 really big wins on your resume.
Yeah. But if they split, man,
yeah, no, that'll be interesting, especially if Clemson comes in as like the 3 team and Florida State's like 7 seed and they win, or or the 10 seeds like that. Yeah, because I don't see the ACC. I mean, unless Clemson or Florida State, unless one of them's undefeated and loses the college championships game to the other team, I don't see the ACC getting 2 teams either way. I mean, it's gonna, unless the SEC really falls apart.
I agree. I mean, yeah, but you could. Like, you know, you never know. But
yeah, it could just be that like everyone has 2 losses but Georgia or something like that. You know, that could happen for sure.
yeah.
And then it would be whoever between Ohio State and Michigan. So, all right. So for our championship, I've already got the champions down. I'm taking Clemson, and you're taking Florida State. So you're getting +1. Well, we'll just say we're taking to make the playoffs. So you're getting +320. I'm getting +300. I mean, both good odds. It might even be worth putting a flyer on both of those because either way, you're going to win. If you put 10 on either, you'll either win, $20 in total, or you'll win $22 in total.
Oh,
or you'll lose. Yep. Or you'll lose 20 if they neither make it. So, all right, dark horse. Are there any dark horses you think? Is there one team worth mentioning that has a chance to surprise some people? Maybe not win the ACC championship, but let's say this team gets there instead of Clemson or Florida State. And so, like, does Pittsburgh or Miami or Louisville, does anyone have a chance to be playing against Florida State or Clemson in that final game? That would surprise you, but might happen.
You know what? Just for fun, that with I'm gonna go with Duke or Miami.
Ooh, okay.
Duke is a sneaky good team. They have some offensive firepower, have some good receivers on the have a receiver on the Biletnikoff preseason list actually. Excuse me. So they got some people that can go get it on offense. So it'll be fun. I don't think Duke's gonna be terrible this year. I think they're gonna be a competitive team.
Okay, interesting. Okay, maybe take some of their spreads in there when they're +7.5 or something. All right, so my dark horse, I don't know the ACC as well, the mid-tier team, so I don't really feel too comfortable picking a dark horse. I could see Pittsburgh, they're over under 6.5. I could see them going over 6.5 and maybe getting 8 wins, maybe sneaking in there again. I think I saw that it was like Louisville doesn't play any of the really good teams. I already closed out their schedule, so I don't really want to bring it up again. But here it is actually. So Louisville doesn't play. Excuse me. Louisville doesn't play Clemson or Florida State.
Lucky.
Yes, so maybe Louisville with their easy schedule can they play Notre Dame, but that wouldn't affect the ACC conference schedule. So they got NC State and Pitt. That's like their 2 kind of toughest games. So that'd be interesting. Maybe Louisville with an easy schedule can get high up there. But I like the Duke. I've heard good things about Duke's offense too. I've heard they got a good quarterback. So I like that pick. I think that's an interesting pick. Miami, I think Miami could be really good, but I could also see them winning like 5 games again and being trash. So
yeah, Miami way.
Again, though, thank you for joining me. We'll go ahead and wrap up here. We'll have EJ on again later in the year. I'm sure we'll be doing some official just week by week picks. We'll talk ACC a little bit more. We'll see if the Falcons come through. We both picked the Falcons to win the division, so we'll see if that happens or not.
Hope so.
And again, y'all, thanks for joining us. Thanks for listening. Listen to us. See if you agree with what we said. Bet responsibly. Don't forget to hedge those bets. And thank you for joining us. We'll see you next time.
Peace, y'all.